Welcome back to Q&A with S&A. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Shane.
And we've got a super cool guest in the podcast studio this morning. Super cool for us because we are Collingwood fans, and, you know, when you get Nick Maxwell in your studio with you, you kind of get a little bit like fangirly. We love Nick, though. Welcome to the studio with us, Nick. It's such a pleasure to have you after, 3 years we've just managed to drag you across the road into the studio.
I've been waiting for my invite. It's taken so long.
You weren't quite at the top of the pecking.
I understand that completely. So it's good that you got down to the bottom feeders here. So anyone after me, I feel sorry for.
I think I saw you in the podcast episode with Cam, and I thought, maybe he would be good on the podcast.
You had to get a little bit of background first.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I'm not a
coming
fangirl either, by the way.
Yes, you are. You're the biggest fangirl. I'm going to tell the story because this is how we connected with Eclat to begin with. And Nick knows the story, but the listeners don't. Eclat is across the road from our office, but it is also down the road from our house. And we'd come home from Christmas holidays one year, the year that Eclat opened, and we walked past the parlour bar.
Yep.
And you'd strategically probably left the door uncovered. So the windows were all covered, but the door wasn't. So we peeked our eyes in and saw this beautiful marble bar. And I said to Shane, we need to know what this place is. So he's Googled Eclat because the sign was already up. And the very next morning, Molly had sent us an email to say, hey, we're not quite finished yet. There's still plumbers and whatever here, but come in and have a look. And so we're like, yep, cool, no worries. We walk in the parlour door and Nick Maxwell is there to shake our hand. And at that minute, Shane had his credit card out and was ready to pay. So it was like no hard sell required.
Well, like a very good finance person, he kept a straight face because otherwise I would have tried to hit him up for more. So he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we came to know Eclat. That's how we came to know you, Nick. Tell us, because the listeners probably know you as a footballer because that's the life that was the most media related. What made you get into this particular project? What about it is that you love so much?
I think there was a couple of elements to it. The first one was my kids were starting to grow up and being in footy for, it would have been 20 years at that stage. I was starting to miss out on a lot on weekends. Mm-hmm. So you go away on the interstate trips. Yeah. Whatever the game is, you can't go to kids drop off for basketball or football or ballet or whatever it is. And it's a very selfish life as a footballer. It's we have to eat what I can eat. We can only travel when I can travel. I need to go and get a massage, or I need to go and walk in the ocean at night time, and I need my sleep because I've got to play. So it's a tough life around families, and it's hard to sort of put that time aside. So I guess a little bit about the selfishness of that and wanting to not be that and be able to coach my kids' sport and that type of thing. So getting a bit more freedom with my time was part of it. The second part of it was I sort of dabbled in a lot of different businesses, and I'd been in different experiences, and I also wanted to know what else is out there. And I think that when we sort of started forming what Eclat could be, to me it was like the more business people I spoke to, you go out and do leadership talks, or you just speak in general at different events and networking, and the things that were normal for me weren't normal for business. And I found that fascinating, that there's so many people that just like, the people are late to meetings. Like in sport, you are not late to a meeting. The door gets closed and you don't get picked. Yeah. And then for us, things that you would say and different things you would do to some people in business would blow their minds. Like a really simple one I use is if you're a business person that does a PowerPoint, you've got to present to someone for $1 million contract, for a massive contract. You've put a lot of time into it. Okay, is that the first time you've done that presentation? 9 times out of 10, they'll say, yeah, it's the first time I've physically done the presentation to them, but I wrote it all. I know what's in it. I know the data, et cetera, et cetera. I said, if it's so important though, why wouldn't you present to people in the room, get feedback from them? Like, you lost me there. You rushed through that point. You need to pause on that. That graph didn't make sense to me, because those little moments are so critical. Because in sport, literally all Monday is review from a 2-hour game from the week before, and a bit about how we prepared for that 2 hours. So the review part of what you do is so important to what you do, so that you can plan to prepare and do the rest of your week. you just didn't see it like that in business. And and I know it's hard to put that much time aside to do it, but even like a construction company or a builder who's building something, those projects can be so long. So how do you find the wins in that? So if you just wait till the end of the project and you've gone, oh yeah, we made a profit on that. Well, what about the wins for the 2 years leading up to that? Like, how do you actually set those benchmarks? Like in sport, it's easy. There's a scoreboard. There's, you know where you are on the ladder. It's really clear on what winning looks like. So how do you actually break that down for the people that are on a longer timeline and on a longer project? And with those bigger projects, the next 3 projects are already set. So they know what they're doing for the next 3 years. So you literally finish one and you're already on to the next one. And usually there's a crossover. So you don't get time to even stop, review, what did we do well, where were our mistakes? And that's where so often when people go, I say, what's your biggest challenge? And they go, tough conversations. I go, why are they tough? So it's just like hard to confront someone and have those conversations. I said, yeah, but are you waiting every 12 months at their review and having those conversations? Yeah. Because you're literally in sport, you get feedback from people that you don't ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
But every single decision you make, every kick, every handball, even when you don't touch the ball, you're with your coaches, they're analysing why you ran there or why didn't you go here, et cetera, et cetera. So you're just used to feedback all the time and you're used to that discipline of all those things coming together.
Yeah. One thing that sometimes people will say to me, and you and I have talked about this before as well, is that they'll say to me, I'll be, going to a presentation with some cool sports person that you've brought into Eclat. There's been lots of them, so there's not a one-off.
We probably need to give a bit more detail about what Eclat is.
We will. I'll talk about Eclat in a minute, but I just want to talk about Nick's comments about the sport and business correlation, because it's really important. I think it's important anyway. You'll listen to someone and I'll say to my network of people who is not necessarily the same network as yours, but we've got similar ones. They'll say, oh, why are you going to that presentation by, I'm going to use Nathan Buckley as an example because he's a Collingwood player as well, but it's one that sticks out in my mind. Why would you want to go and hear him speak? Like, what's he got to do with, business or accounting or finance or whatever? The amount of times that I've heard a sports person speak and their experience in sport has reflected experience in business, but there's no one sitting there saying this is the same and we should be taking elements of both. And you've just said that, like, sports people get feedback every single day from every single armchair experts, the media, your coaches, all of that. And we're not doing those things every day, but there's so much of it that goes on in the sport world that translates so perfectly to business, but people just don't get the correlation.
And that's also a bit about what Eclat's about. So where, to answer your Shane's statement, was around, we do private office suites, but then we also do some co-working stuff, meeting rooms, and then a members bar, restaurant, cafe, event space. So we run we've run 350 something events in 3 years. So we run private events and then we run events for our members, like me interviewing Nathan Buckley on I think it was before finals one year. So we're always putting on these events because it's also harder for small business to go out and go, I want to go get Nathan Buckley, or I want to do a Penfolds wine night. It's really hard to do, but if we're doing it for you, then it's like, oh yeah, we'll go to that and then come along. It's all part of your membership. So we also run it a lot like a sporting club where our members are ones giving feedback to our staff. And what we do is we're trying to make life as easy as we can for our members. So we want you to walk into your office and it's already set up and there's the desks are there, your TV's there, your Wi-Fi is working. We look after the cleaning and everything that goes with that, or your printing. And then again, the events are part of that. So instead of doing a leadership development session or instead of doing a business development, we do a lunch and learn, or we do a team building thing where your team can come down and come to a wine night or whatever it looks like. So all those things are sort of trying to make it easy for, like you would a player. So for a player, you've got the physios there, the doctors there, the ice bars are there. You can go see a coach at any time. You can go and watch all the clips have been cut by the analysts, so you know every single clip, who's coming that week, who I have to play against, what I need to see from their highlights, what do the stats look like. Everything's done for the player to be able to go out there and perform at their absolute best, and there's no excuses, no excuses at all. So that's sort of a little bit about how we've tried to form it. Now it's different because, to give you an example, in sport, if someone's not performing, then they get dropped, and you've got someone who can replace them that's basically a like for like in an instant. But the other person's still in all those rooms.
Yeah.
They're still training with them. They're still all together. And then you get to the end of the year and some will fall off and some others will come in. But it's a little bit different because in business, obviously, you can't do that. You can't go, you're not performing, you're going back to the twos, you come up here and you're in the ones this week. So, but it's about teaching also how, understanding how important people's roles are within the business. And when I look at it from a sporting sense, if a midfield, when you're playing football, are getting smashed and not putting any pressure on, then it's really hard for defenders to try and stop the forwards for the opposition. If the forwards for your team are missing goals every single time, then you're not sort of finishing your work. So then it's frustrating because then you got to go back and defend again as a team. So again, you go into our business, we go, well, if the cleaners haven't done their job overnight, then you walk in and the place doesn't look immaculate. That's an issue for us. And then I remember I spoke to one of our early baristas, and he said, "Oh, I just make the coffees." And I said, "Whoa." I said, No. I said, understand, this is not to heap pressure on you and what you do. But if you make a bad coffee, we can't sell. They're not coming back. It is so critical to what we do. That's people's routines in the morning. So understand your role's more important than mine, because I can't even get to my role if you don't do yours. And he's like, okay. Look, I understand the importance of that. So understanding that when someone works into concierge, that one of our member managers is actually smiling and they're there and they're talking to them and they're giving them positive sort of affirmations as they walk through, and they also know the answers to the questions they're going to ask. Not, I'll have to go find this out for you. So all those little moments are basically from sports 1%ers. So what's the 1%ers and what's critical and what's not? And I think that it's easy to want to do it. It's really hard to do it, and it's really hard to do it consistently. And because it has to become habit, and that's where, I'm just really lucky that the staff and the people that do our hiring, that they've helped create that in terms of they know the type of personalities, they know the type of people, and our team has built what Eclat is, and it's continued to evolve every day, every week. We continually, you guys have seen it from the start. So, and we'll continue to evolve. And I also think that that's a big part of business. So many people go, no, this is what's worked for us in the past, so this is what we're going to do. And you go, well, it doesn't always work like that, because you get different personalities, you get different feedback, things change, the world's changing, like right now.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
Government continues to put us in a deeper hole every single day, so I won't get into all that. but with that, that's putting pressure on small to medium business. And so people are going, well, I need this membership, but it's really hard for me. So, all right, who can I set you up with? Who do you need to see? What type of business do you want to be able to help you with your business?
Yeah, exactly.
So the introductions come off the back of that.
And that's, the networking that's developed within Eclat is extraordinary.
100%, and it's been great to see. And we also don't like setting out like we don't use the word networking. It's sort of a lot more subtle, but it's also around I'll introduce you to people, but it's those conversations, and that's where like our member managers and that, Alex, is so important, and Ange down in Parlour, because they're the ones that are having those conversations. So they actually will share the subtleties of different things they hear with the rest of us, so that we go, they haven't been here for a month because something happened in their family life, like they lost a father or something like that. So they're even little things, the girls will go, okay, I know so-and-so's had a hard day, and they'll just send them up a coffee or a cocktail or something like that, depending on what time of the day it is. So try and find those little moments that just make you feel, when you're down, appreciated, but then also it helps them realise those moments and how important they are. So that's sort of the way we try and run it. Yeah.
I think one of the good things, and because we want to obviously talk more about Eclat, because it's really important what you guys do, but also, that the brand is building, so that's also great, and other people are going to have the ability to get involved in what you're doing. The community, I know you guys use the word community rather than networking with that sort of stuff. The building of the community around the people that are in there. So we're talking about a serviced office type environment, which is way more than what most people expect from a serviced office. It is, as you said, an experience, and everything about it is as perfect as it can be. It's sometimes micro businesses and small businesses, people who have sometimes during COVID set up a business doing their own thing because their industry is closed down or whatever. They've come to a place like Eclat because they can get a space where it's just one desk or two desks if they need it. The importance of the community around those people. And this is some of the sessions that you do, like Lunch and Learn. And as you've said, small business owners don't have access to big networks of people. They don't get a chance to listen to maybe the HR expert who is down the hall from them in an office themselves and do those sorts of things. How does that form part of like the ethos of what you're trying to do here?
I think the big part of it is putting yourself in the position of the member, or the person in their business. So if you're in their position, you're going, okay, I'm isolated because business is hard.
Yeah.
So if you're by yourself, okay, well, I want to build something here. There's probably 50 people who have built from exactly the same spot you're in. So as soon as you share that with one, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, now they've given me a different perspective, or oh, it is going to be hard, but it'll get better. So understanding those things, and I think I learn every single day.
Yeah.
And I think for anyone out there, if you're actually open to learning and you sort of seek it a little bit, and I seek it through conversation or how you going, how's your day been? Yeah. I spoke to one just before when I was coming over here and he was telling me about it. He'd been up in the Blue Mountains and he took his 6 and 10-year-old across this and it was really sort of scary and the son was really nervous about where they were going to go and what they were climbing on and then half an hour later, he was flying, he was jumping around. He's going, hang on, you need to slow down now. So it got reversed. But again, you hear those little experiences and now I know that that's what they love doing. And as a family, they go and do that. So again, knowledge for us that we continue to build about what our members, what's important. And a lot of that is actually for the member because you take an interest for 5 minutes and have a conversation with them. Yeah. Because again, the more you're isolated, and even if you are a small team and there is 3, 4, 5, quite often you're in there and you're into your business straight away. You're into work. You've got KPIs that you have to meet. So you're probably not spending a ton of time having those conversations or someone checking in or and again, we've got anyone from startup, like even the last week, we've had people who have gone out on their own, they're starting up their own business all the way through those that have been established and they've actually just downgraded the size of their office because they didn't want to be in the city anymore whatever it looks like. So it's so many different experiences and it's also because we've been able to build it as it's not a forced thing, it's you can take it or leave it. You can come to your office, do your work and go home and never have to be a part of anything you want, but know it's there.
Yeah.
And we continue to just make sure everyone knows we're there and the communication's there. And that's why even the girls, as I said, on the concierge desk with the member experience stuff, just having that smiling face, knowing your name when you walk in, really low turnover of staff is critical because it becomes more familiar and it's easier. So again, it's family's almost too far of an extension, but that community you say is that's what you're trying to create so that people feel welcome and they feel like they want to be part of something.
Yeah. The events side of things is a big deal for what you do.
Yep.
And you've got a team that sort all of that sort of stuff out. How do people come to you now and say, hey, we wanted one of our events at your place? Like in terms of you've had Penfolds come in, you've had some other, big one, cheese, this just sort of things that happen for the people listening at home. We've done cheese making, we've done bouquet flower making, we've done wine, plenty of wine tastings, which are always a bonus.
Whiskey.
Whiskey. Yeah. There's been all sorts of things. Is it obviously at the start you kind of, having to work that out yourselves. Yep. Do people come to you now and say, Nick, we want to do an event here for your members?
We do, yeah. Sort of, it goes from let's look at the year and what's coming up. Yep. So we know that when's the breast cancer awareness one, and when's Good Friday appeal, and when's the footy season going to start, and you actually start working through that. So that fills probably a third, maybe a quarter of your calendar. So Dom, obviously, she runs all our events. So we look at that and then she'll start going. There's categories they have to fit in for us. So there's sort of wellness events. There's like leadership and business. There's like fun and F&B ones. Trying to make sure that we get a good balance between it all as well is really critical. First year, because we were trying to say, all right, this is a huge part of what we do. We're not a serviced office. We're an experience. We're part of the community. It was every single Thursday night from 6 till 8. And then we went out after a year and said, all right, how did you like them? What were your favourite ones? What didn't you like? What about the timing? What about the days? And our feedback was for a lot of people, kids sports on a Thursday night. So they want to come, but they couldn't come. So we're like, all right, we need to adjust what we're doing. So then there was different days and nights and mornings. So it actually helped us reach out to our community and listen to what they wanted. So that's where we change it. Yes, probably now we're starting to get a lot more who will come to us or see it and go, okay, this is really good for us. This will work well. Yeah. And the funny thing is you hear experience. Like, I go into them, and obviously I'm doing the interview at most of them. And I go in there not knowing a lot of the time what I'm going to get. And I always walk out, like you said, with, oh my God, they do this. I didn't know about this. I've never considered it from that perspective before. So even when we had, trying to think of what Brad Ebert's wine business is, it's going to come to me. Yeah. Their first 14 hires were homeless people.
Right.
Hey, diddle.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'm like, wow. Yeah. Well, where's that come from? Why? And they're just like, we're just really passionate about it. We want to do something about it. And then, and the wine was great. And we're like, okay. So then we're like, right, how else can we help? And we did all right. We'll showcase your wine. So like discount glasses to get it out there and get people having it. So again, it's sort of, you learn different things as you go along. It's not just about a wine night. So, and it also makes you reflect and go, homeless people, all right, I don't know if I can hire homeless people yet with where we're at, but what else can we do and what community stuff should we be doing?
So it inspires you to look at things for yourself and others.
100%. So it's all sort of part of it and part of our learning and what we think as well. And I think that we've got a pretty flat structure in the way that we go from a staffing perspective. So I'm really important for me, and this is something I've spoken about before publicly, which is it's a generic statement, so it's not for everyone, and you can get yourself in trouble if you get too controversial on this. I've obviously coached a lot of men and boys and been around them a lot. Then I went into the AFLW system, the netball system, so I was working with them as well from a leadership perspective. I'd talk about to the boys, men, etc. I'd say whatever it is, go and do this. No worries, go do it. If I say it to the girls, they'd go, why? Like, what do you mean why? Well, why are we doing this? Oh, okay. So then I had to have an answer for it. So they actually made me have to come to them with a stronger conviction or why are we doing this? What's the purpose of this? Because they think deeper than the boys do. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Then coming into Eclat, we're predominantly female staff. So a lot of them, if I said to a male and a female that have got exactly the same history, the same work history, the same resume, everything, all right, this is what it looks like and this is what you're going to have to do. The male will go, yeah, no worries, that's easy, I'm going to go and do it. 9 times out of 10. The female will go, oh, okay, yeah, no, I think I can do that and I think I'd be good at that 9 times out of 10. Yeah. If there's just a bit more doubt and a bit more, they need a bit more safety and they need a bit more support to go, no, I believe in you, I know what you can do. And with a lot of the girls that we've had at Eclat that we have now, I've just watched them just grow and grow and grow because you give them a little bit of that safety and you make them feel good about themselves. And I think probably one of the biggest things coming from sport and leadership is you need everyone to understand how important their role is. So out in the field, how critical it is and how all the little moments that can save a goal or get us a goal, whatever it is, because obviously you can lose by a point and you've lost everything. So making them understand again how important their role is and how critical they are to what we do. The other way is giving them, when there is good news to be had or there's a positive or there's something to do, you're the ones that are going to say it. Oh, no, it should come from you. No, it shouldn't come from me because you're the ones that are doing it. You're the ones who are on the floor. So you get all the bad stuff when something doesn't happen because we're clearly not perfect and things go wrong or IT or tech or anything that can happen. You have to cop that. I don't. So then when there's a good thing, you deserve to get the credit for that, not me. So again, it's trying to put that back on them and make them understand, plus give them the autonomy to, like, we're still growing, we're still evolving. If you think it's a good idea, have a crack. Don't come to me for it. If it's a big budgeting thing or a massive thing that's going to change the way we operate, then we'll have a chat about it. Otherwise, just back yourself. And that's a conversation I've had a lot over the last 3 years because, like, it's great that they're respectful that I want to find out. And sometimes it has been important, but 9 times out of 10 it's been, what are you asking me for? Do you think that's what we should do? Go and do it then. Like, trust yourself. Like, what's the worst that can happen? This might happen. I said, but that's all right. It's just us learning.
Exactly. It's we kind of sometimes think that we're saving lives, and we do like to think that we are a little bit, at least with what we do here. But it's like no, you can afford to make mistakes. You're the scaffold around them to say if something goes really wrong, I'll be here to help you with it to go forward. But what can really go wrong? Like it's not. We're not going to, but the house isn't going to burn down.
And
as a
so
result.
many leaders I find, because we'll have, you can book corporate days with us and they'll come in and I'll do a leadership talk for them and that as well. Or if I'm going out to do one on site somewhere, so many leaders think, oh no, I'm giving them that autonomy, I'm allowed to do that. But then when you speak to the people they're leading, they go, oh no, I wouldn't challenge them like that. I wouldn't challenge them like that. So the way I used to set it up at different stages where I'd go, okay, before we go in, I want you to say, no, I don't agree and challenge me on that. So that I'd go in there and go, all right, we're going to do this. What do you like? Everyone good with that? And then that person who I've already spoken to goes, no, I'm not sure. Oh, why is that? So it actually starts to break down. I want you to challenge what I'm saying. And that's going back to when I do leadership group, when I was a captain, you'd go back at Collingwood, all right, this is the situation. Here's the options ahead of us. What do we think? And then I'd go around the circle, let them all have a say before it got to me, because it wasn't my influence of my opinion influencing what they were going to say. And it sounds almost silly, like in the day and age and the amount of leadership stuff we've got around us and the amount of management we do. But those little moments are so critical to how you make sure you're getting feedback from people, because no matter what you think, there's like, you're the leader. If you've got a title there is a respect thing just on that. Like they don't have to like you, but at the same time, they've got that. So you need to be able to break down those walls, because that's the only way you're going to get better. And it's not you get to a position of authority and then all of a sudden I know better than anyone else. You want to have more people in the room that know better than you on all the subjects you've got coming forward.
So with sport and football, so you learn, you're at a high level, so elite level, and you learnt all these skills which are now transcending into business. Is it same? You've had experience in other sports. Is it similar thing with NRL, netball, those things, elite sport, that those people are developing those same skills that you learnt?
Absolutely, all with intricacies. So when I went to the Melbourne Storm, I had 6 years there running their leadership program. And I went in there and I'd never dealt with the Polynesian culture before. So that was completely different again. So I went in there and one of the players early on, I think it was the first week of my first year there, and he played in reserve grade. And I went up to him and said, oh, how'd you go on the weekend? He sort of put his head down and just like looked at the floor, goes, yeah, good. I was like, oh, well done. That was sort of a like strange interaction and I couldn't shake it. So all week I was like, what? I don't know what to do. I didn't want to go and ask like someone about it. So I'm like, I look like I don't know what I'm doing then. So I went and watched his tape from the next week before I saw him the next Monday, and he scored a try. And so I approached it differently. I spotted him and I walked towards him. I was like, oh, I saw you try, mate. That was unbelievable, and sort of changed the way that I approached him and fumbled my way through the Polynesian handshake I'm not cool enough to do. And I said, well, what happened? Was a set play or what? And he's going through and he's explaining it. And this guy ran into that gap and he did that. And we went out the back and we scored a try. And I said, that's so good. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, sure. I said, last week when I approached you, you sort of put your head down and didn't want to look me in the eye. I said, I'm still learning here. Did I say something wrong or did I approach you in the wrong way? And he said, oh, no, Nick. He said, I come from a very small village in Samoa, and over there, if anyone who's senior to you, if you look them in the eye, it's a sign of disrespect. So you bow your head as a sign of respect. I said, mate, I haven't slept all week, 'cause in the Aussie culture, if I don't look in the eye, either I've got something to hide or I don't respect you. So it's different. So again, little moments like that helps me better understand. So again, it's all the same. You're all you're trying to achieve the same things, even breaking down what's important for every role in every position, no matter what you're doing. I had another one where I won't say who the cricketer was, but he was. I was working with the Melbourne Stars, and Glenn Maxwell was the captain. And I gave an example of playing your role, so batting. So there was a player who a bit lower down the order, who was good at just chipping around ones and twos, not really known for his boundaries. And I said, if you go in to play with Maxi, who's 50 off 20 and flying and playing really well, you can score 10 off 10 and play your role, and you can score 10 off 10 and not play your role. And they looked at me like I was from another planet, which makes sense. I said, if you score 10 singles and give the strike to the person who's the best batsman in the world, who's dominating, you've played your role.
Yeah.
I said, if you go 4, 6, 8 dot balls, you haven't played your role. So do you see it's the same result because you're keeping him off strike? He's getting frustrated. Then he thinks, I've got to do more. I've got to do more because of these dot balls. It's all. It's actually the same on the scoreboard, but it's not in reality of playing your role.
Yeah.
And so when you break it down a little bit like that, it just gives people more of an understanding again of how important these moments are. And even one over at Eclat happened last week. We had someone was new on in a concierge. She was filling in for someone who was sick. And I was sitting down having a coffee discussion with someone, and I noticed she saw that the hospitality staff were flat out taking orders and delivering. And she looked across and someone had left and walked out. And so obviously their water, their glasses, their coffee cups were there. She went across. It's not her job, not in her role description, but grabbed them all, took them back of house, came back, wiped it down, then sat back at her desk. And then I sort of finished my meeting, walked out, said, look, I noticed what you did there. I said, do you know how critical that is? Because if someone walks in and their first impression is dirty glasses everywhere, they don't know that everyone's overrun out the back and that there's all these orders going on and maybe someone was sick and or that that's not your role, but you went and did it because it's meticulous and that's one of our values and that's important to us. So I understand, I saw that and I know how important it is and I want you to know how important it is. And that was sort of end of conversation. But little moments like that, being able to pick that up so that people realise, like, it's not just about your KPI at the top, it's about all those little moments as well.
Exactly. The correlation between the strategic elements of sport, because again, to take it back to the initial conversation, some people just don't understand the complexity of sport. Like you, as people who enjoy sport, we sit down, watch it on the TV or whatever, and we often, most of the time, do not understand that level of actual strategy around it, the organisation, the fact that there is so much that goes on outside of this, what we're watching. We had the great pleasure of being able to go along to a Collingwood lunch that you'd invited us to, Nick. So hence, Shane's tapping his credit card at the very start worked out really well for us. We got to go to that event and we heard Fly speak. And I'm not a huge football fan. I'm a really big fan of Collingwood because I think what they do is really special. And the fact that we got to hear Fly speak was one of probably the times when I sat back and I said, this club is something else. It is not your standard, blokey footy club. It has had its problems along the years though, and nobody denies the fact that there's some stuff that went on that was really not great. But how do you think, as an outsider now, not you're an outsider at all, but you're still really involved in the club, but you're sitting back, watching them on the telly or watching them in the stands. How do you think that all of that change impacted on how, number one, the players feel about the team that they play in and the club that they're part of the community for, but for the people like us who are just sitting there watching a game and enjoying the footy, how has it impacted on those things?
I think all in all, when you're passionate about any team in any sport, you want to go and watch them put up a good performance. The score was actually second.
Yeah.
Except when it's within 6
if it's grand final or something.
If there's 1 point and they just can't get over line.
Correct.
Not another close game.
I think if you go there and you go, look, we win the game by a point, but we played so poorly and it was a terrible game to watch and I was frustrated and I've sat with the fans in the out. I know and I've felt exactly what you felt. Or you go, we lost by a point, but geez, I was proud of how they played. Geez, I had a crack and all the smothers and the tackles and all the little things that you appreciate. You're proud of that team and you want to see that.
Yeah.
And I think to take it back even another step when you talk about the understanding of everything that's happening out there, I had an experience where I wasn't known my first year. I wasn't known for going back with a flight or having courage or running back into a pack or anything like that. And I did it in a game, in about my 5th game. And all my teammates came up to me and made me feel 10 foot tall. They were like, that was amazing, pumped me up. And I'm like, I'm doing that again. I love what that feels like. But I didn't have the technique right to be able to do it. I just got lucky that he didn't smash me. The guy it was Alistair Lynch coming the other way. He's 110 kilos. Big unit. So I actually went with Gavin Brown. I do it twice a week. So he was one of our assistant coaches. And we're at Vic Park. And Rowdy would take me out when everyone's finished. And I would run from sort of 2 metres away and run and jump into the goalpost and jump and turn my body, both legs. So basically your backside's getting the impact of the post. So it's not hurting you, but it's that technique of knowing when to turn, and then I'd go a little bit further and I'd run a bit harder, and then he'd throw the ball up, and then we'd include the ball. And we did this tens of thousands of times, but it gave me the confidence of the technique of what I needed to do, so that then I knew, okay, well, the harder I go, it's not a goalpost that's going to stop. I'm not going to knock it over. I'm not Lee Matthews. But then I felt more confident, so then I'd do it more often, which meant it helped my teammates more, but also the opposition knew you were coming back. If you're trying to watch a ball coming and you're on a lead and you have someone coming like that, you don't have to do much. So that was... But that wasn't a desire or a lack of courage. It was a technique. So we got fast forward sort of 5 years, and I'm captain of the club, and you got your backline group. And I had 2 or 3 instances over 2 weeks where a few of our boys didn't go back with a flight. And so people were saying there's no courage, that's like they're soft or they're scared and all this sort of stuff. And the more people say it, and obviously with all social media out these days, the more you start to believe it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you go, I better not do it. And then the coaches, they hear it, and as much as you think you don't, or we're not going to ignore them, then someone will ask about it in a press conference. So all of a sudden it is real. It was just a technique thing. So we actually had, instead of a goalpost, we had a brick wall inside. So we put some padding on it, little 2 inches of padding. And I did exactly what Rowdy taught me 5 years before about running, turning your body. And then all of a sudden the boys go, oh, how good's this? So then all of them had, I guess, the confidence to do it, rather than having this fear of, I'm going to get cleaned up coming the other way because it's the unknown. No, a brick wall's not moving. So no matter who's coming the other way. So again, that's one tiny little technique thing amongst thousands that you need to learn and you need to be across. So I think, to answer your question, there's a few layers to it. There's one, obviously every organisation is going to go through their ups and downs. They're going to go through their good and bad moments. They're going to have people that come and go. They're going to have things that you would want to do differently every single day. But all you can do is look forward to take the lessons from that and then look forward to what can we do next. And I think part of that is the individual moments, like working out how to go back to the flight. It's the bigger moments on what do we stand for as a club, and who do we want to be, and the Collingwood Foundation that's done so much for so long. So all these things, what do we want to stand for as a club? And I think from the football perspective, it's you want to go there as a supporter and go, geez, they had a crack. Geez, they were good. They did everything they possibly could. Look, they weren't good enough, because you can't win. You can't win them all. The best players of all time have bad games.
Exactly.
So I think they're the type of moments you sort of want to come together for.
With so obviously Collingwood, and then there's a life after Collingwood.
Is there though? Is there ever? Of course there is. Come on.
So how did you plan what the next step was, and when did you do that while you were still at Collingwood, and did they have programs in place for you to then work out what the next phase of your life is, or was it something that just happened organically?
Yeah, good question. So I was doing a lot of commentary. So I was doing Channel 7 commentary for the last 5-6 years of my career. I was doing SEN for about 7 years. So I was dabbling in a lot of those things. In my last season, I was actually doing some work at the promotions factory. So my day off, I'd go in there when the boys were playing PlayStation or whatever they were doing. I'd go in there and work with Rob Hilton on a lot of the products and understanding that. So I got to work with Coca-Cola on big $1 million sort of marketing things and products. I would work a lot with Coles and went and did like the micro figures of the AFL Lego men. So I was a big part of that with Rob. So working through all that gave me a different understanding of what else was out there and how business worked. I hadn't finished any degrees. I'd sort of done a lot of sort of short courses, had little businesses here and there. And I thought I'd go into commentary and then do some business stuff. But again, you don't really know what's coming. And when Craig Bellamy rings me and says, can I have a coffee, and offers you a job, you're like, oh my God, I never thought about this. This is the Melbourne Storm. Like this is, everyone wants to work and experience the Melbourne Storm. So then that kicked off. And then the Giants came the next year and said, well, we've seen what you've done at the Melbourne Storm. This is what we're looking to do. So I ended up doing a fly-in, fly-out with the Giants running theirs. And from that perspective, I had 226 flights in 18 months up and back.
Wow.
So I actually did my MBA because I was sitting in airports and I was sitting on planes and I was sitting in hotels by myself. So I was like, I didn't want to go home when I had family time and be working on things. So again, it gave me an opportunity to do something different, continue to add to what I was doing. And then after a couple of years, that's when Jeff Walsh said, look, we want you to come back. This is the type of role back at Collingwood. So again, I thought GM of football would be what the future looked like. And I sort of worked my way up and was close to some of those roles, sort of filled in for a little bit before Righty did it. But then again, the evolution continues to come. So I think that you never quite know what it looks like. I think the saving grace for me that I see a lot of the players have longer careers really struggle with is that my identity wasn't tied up in football. And it was because I got overlooked for 4 years in a row at Geelong Falcons and then finally made the team and then didn't get picked, didn't get drafted. Tried out with Port Adelaide, didn't want me. Tried out with Hawthorn, didn't want me. Went to Ballarat for a year. Tried out with Geelong, they didn't want me. Collingwood give me a 1-year contract on 18 grand before tax, so it's not all beer and Skittles. I actually worked at Telstra on a Thursday from 8 till 6 as an AFL player. Played all my footy at Williamstown and lucky enough to get another 1-year contract. Went on to 25,000, so I dropped Telstra. And then
big payday.
Debut halfway through that year. So I guess for me it was I wasn't someone that was always going to play AFL football. I was someone that sort of came out of the back door, I guess, and created a career for myself, but knowing this could end any time. Like this could get taken away any time because it had been taken away so many times before that. So I never went. I never struggled with the post-career thing because I was just me who played football, whereas so many of them were the star in their team and everyone told them from the age of 15, oh, you're going to have an AFL career, you're going to have an AFL career. And even the ones that do and play for a long time and get paid lots and lots of money, which unfortunately I didn't, they still struggle with that psychological part of it. And that's why so many of them stay in sport and they stay as assistant coach or a development coach and all that type of thing. And for those that are passionate about coaching, that's great. I coach under 14s down in Williamstown with Slugger, who I know is a great friend of yours. You probably don't know him as Slugger.
No, we don't, but he is now known as Slugger.
So, from that perspective, we sort of love what we do and that we've got the opportunity to do that where you wouldn't have if you're in sport. So I think that I'll speak to different athletes and even those that have worked in sport for a long time, and I'll go, you don't understand the skills you have. They don't show up on a they're hard to put on a resume, or they don't show up in something you've achieved. But you're never late to a meeting, like I said earlier. You're used to getting feedback every single day. You're very disciplined and determined to achieve certain things. I said to my 13-year-old, we're doing a session every second day over the Christmas period. So from a football perspective, and he's got a running program and all the training and that. And because we were together and we were away, it was easy. And then we got back and he had about 3 weeks where we got back home and I started going back to work 2 weeks after that. But I'd go, right, do you want to do a session? Oh, no, I can't. I'm going to play golf with my friends. Okay, no worries. And then next day, do you want to do a session? Oh, no, I'm going fishing. No, I'm going to sleep over. Okay. So I let him go for about 3 weeks. And then it was come to do a time trial and he was like, oh, that wasn't as good as what it was. And I said, you got to understand, mate, that's the thing. You can't just say, oh, I did it and it's done. It's actually consistency. And that's the most boring thing about being good at something is it's all just habits and it's all 1%ers. It's not, people just think there's a magic wand. There is no magic wand. It's you have to do the same thing over and over again until it becomes habit. And you don't know anything different, And if you do that, that's how you create like a platform for things that are just normal that aren't normal to everyone else. So it's a big part about it. And even I'll go back to the under 14s because I now use this when I do a leadership talk. We had about 12 or 14 of our boys who had played in the last 3 grand finals and lost by under a goal in all 3. And so there's a lot of self-doubt when things get close, which is completely understandable with 13, 14-year-old boys. And we started a thing because they'd get frustrated if they miss a kick or if an umpiring decision, whatever it is, and they'd be going, and we started next. So they'd just hear us from the boundary, next, as in move on. We can't change what's happened, move on, next. So that started to be ingrained and they started doing it to each other, which worked really well. We ended up with a few injuries, so we finished 4th. In the first final, we beat 3rd. Next one, we beat 2nd. And then we played top team in the grand final. And we said before the game, we wrote 86 on their hand. And they all came in and I sort of, what's this? And I said, all right, what's 86 mean? And they sort of didn't quite know. And I said, one of them goes, is 86 minutes? I said, exactly. I said, we're playing the best team in the comp, and it's going to take all 86 minutes for us to get this job done. So we're going to work in minutes, which is the next minute, the next moment. Let's work on that. So we're going to come back together after 18 minutes, and because there's 2 18-minute halves before time on in the next 2. So at quarter time, we said, there's 18 gone. Is how many's left? And we'd actually start talking through that. And it just allowed them to narrow their focus. We were 3 goals up with 4 minutes to play in the grand final, and the best player in the comp kicked 3 goals in 3 minutes for them.
Wow.
So in the 86th minute, we come back to the centre bounce, scores a level in the grand final. And that self-doubt that you expect to kick in, we think we'd done enough work with them over that period of time that from that centre bounce, 12 players played some form of role in the next 40 seconds that got the ball out for us to go forward, kick a goal and win by a goal. And every single one of those 12 had to do exactly what they were asked to do and stay in the moment and do exactly what was required. And if one of them didn't, we wouldn't have kicked that goal. So then it would go to overtime, and then who knows what happens. So, but to be able to teach 13, 14-year-olds how to do it, boys in particular, who can get a little bit lost, a bit flighty. If we can teach them, I think surely we can teach adults as well. So just being open to understanding, being open to those processes is a big part of it.
But I suppose just a question from that though, can you be too rigid? If you translate that from sport to business, can you be too rigid and too maybe stubborn?
100% you can, And I think that's where the evolution part comes into it. So even from this is generically how we want to play, but you're not going to get in trouble from us if you do that and you make a mistake. There aren't mistakes. The mistakes are just being safe and just doing something that isn't challenging how we get better. So I always say to them, if you're making mistakes at training, that's good because it means you're having a crack to get better. I said anyone can just do that tiny little kick, give it heaps of air and get it there. Every single person on this oval. But if you want to get better, it's got to be flat under head height. Let's try that. And you're going to miss every second one, but then you'll miss every third one, and then you'll miss every fourth one because you're going to get better at it. So trying to give them that. So again, from a business sense, you've got to set some form of parameters on. We don't want to go outside these rails because then we do lose a lot of money, or then something happens. So there is a rigidity in it, but within that, you sort of want to give people the flexibility and the freedom to work within it. And Frank Panisi at the Storm would always say the great thing, that relationship that we had, is a GM football there for a long time. He'd say that I'd come in with 5 ideas, and he goes, 4 of them were just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But one of them was genius, and we'd work with it. And he goes, but the first 4 times I came in, and he goes, what the hell is that? That's stupid. What are you thinking? If I didn't come back the 5th time, we wouldn't have got the good one. And so to have the confidence, and that's just, it's probably a bit about me and who I am and trying to improve, but at the same time, it's about him creating enough of a safe environment for me to feel I can go in and throw up a stupid idea that might get shot down, but not completely smash my confidence and I'm not going to come back again.
Exactly. And I think from a business perspective, that's really important, but it also shows, again, the connection between what happens in sport and what happens in business, and how there's actually a lot of lessons between the two. And I think from our perspective, and I'll finish on this as well because I think it's a good time, we could actually probably talk to Nick for about 35 more minutes.
I've got one
You
other
ask your question first.
It's a dumb one.
Is it? That's okay. We've already heard about this.
You're allowed to do that.
Nick's just going to say to you, that's a stupid bloody question.
So AFL players, because I'm a basketballer and I used to play, so basketballers have the free throw, which I would expect you should be able to score 90% of those every time. Full forwards, centre half forwards.
Why can't they kick a goal?
Why? I don't understand why their conversion rate is so low.
There's a few reasons for it. There's part of it is technique for some of them. And again, I talk to our 13, 14-year-olds about this.
Can you change that though? Can you change the technique?
100%.
But it doesn't look like it works for some people.
It doesn't. No, some people don't. It's very much, and it's a psychological part of, I'm not worried about the result, because the result is 300,000 people, if you count the people there at home, at home, are watching what you're about to do. And if you miss, you failed. So they're thinking about that and what happens here. The best of them just go back to, what's my process? And my process is, well, I go straight line, momentum, and then by the end you're looking at your laces when the ball's left your boot. It's like a golf shot. If you hit and you follow like that, you raise your head and you make a mistake. If you go like that and you see that the ball's gone and then you look up, that's what you're taught as a kid. So same thing when you're kicking the ball. If I'm looking at my laces, the ball's already left. And when you give that description of once the ball hits your boot, you've got zero control over what happens next. So let's just control what happens up until that point.
Yeah.
So that's a big part about it, in my opinion, in that there's so many people watching, there's pressure on it.
Yeah.
So come back to process. It's easy to say, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because obviously you know how much it means and all that. So
But they practice, shouldn't I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
it's different. As Nick's
know.
just said,
I
like
know,
there's
but-
300,000 people. It's the difference between
shouldn't it
I'm
be-
doing it at,
they
the
know it's
Oval
practice.
and I'm just practicing. And then I've got, this bloke who's yelling out at me from the sideline saying, oh, whatever, that happens.
And I'd
So-
say even at training though,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have 1,000 kicks.
Yeah,
You should
yeah.
say, all right, I'm having, like, when was the last time you had 1,000 shots on goal in a game?
Yeah.
Like, you should only get to have this amount of shots on
Yeah.
goal because then it's important. And you don't always have them from the same spot, and you should go down the other end and do it the other end. And all those little things are just little intricacies I think are important that are hard.
Because I also think it's just, maybe they're exhausted or because they've had to do a short, a burst of energy or whatever else, and therefore they haven't fully recovered before they kick, and therefore their technique does wane. But
Only so much of it can be strategy and technique,
I
can't
just-
it? The
I
rest
just-
of it's...
they're converting only 50% or something. I'm just going, that doesn't, and same with basketball, with free throws,
Yeah.
where they, some of them are scoring at 30 or 40% conversion at the free throw line, when it's just the same thing. There's no wind, there's no anything like that. Anyway, that's one thing I just struggle with. I just don't get it. Yeah.
Fair enough too.
Thank you so much for coming in today,
No
Nick. We could strategize about the footy all the time. I mean, we live in a family full of statisticians, so we know how many goals get missed too across the entire
And what I
time.
would say about the last point you were about to make, Andrea, was when you talk about from sport and the lessons from sport and business, it's actually also just good to hear from someone different.
Yeah.
Because when you're the leader and you're the one who's saying something, you bring someone in who's got a profile who people can look and see some vision of who they were.
Yep.
When they say exactly the same thing that you've been saying, they're all going to go, oh, that's genius.
100%.
And you go, oh, I've been saying that every day. But sometimes that's what your business
Yeah.
needs. You need a bit of a refresh. You need
And that
someone else
has
to come
actually
in.
happened to me so many times in Eclat events where I've sat there and said, I don't know how many times I've actually told my team that. And but it's a good affirmation for the business owners that are part of your community as well, because they will sit there and say, yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. And bringing the two together, I think, for me, who is, I'm not a sports person. I've never played any form of like sport other than we had tennis last night with the team, and I can't hit a tennis ball for the life of me. Like my arms just do not understand it. So sport is not in my brain.
Yep.
But when I hear sports people speak and the things that they've gone through and their the way they work and the strategy that goes on in their mind, there's so much of it that is relevant to the way we run businesses and stuff. And I think the more we bring the two together and the more we hear from each other about those sorts of things, the better. And I think Eclat is that sort of space. We're going to share everything to do with Eclat as part of this podcast because we always do, but on our socials we always share stuff that you guys do too. And I think what you've built at Eclat in this one site is amazing. We can't wait to see how it progresses and blooms across the time. And I don't know where you find the time because I know how busy you are, and the kids, the amount of time your kids get from you is really impressive as well. Your family situation is just, really, really special. So thank you for spending some time with us today. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate your support and everyone at Aintree.
Yeah,
great.
of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.